oh my God, this is what happened to Bella, right? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Hello, Simmers. The Sims 4 Growing Together and Base Game Infant Update stream is over, and it was insane, okay? I was sitting at the edge of my seat the entire time. There was no rest, there was no time to pee, which was the worst because I was bursting at the end. So let me just jump straight into what they were talking about. Sequoia has been confirmed to be modeled on San Francisco, and it does actually look quite nice. They're very obsessed with talking about the fog. I don't necessarily find the fog as exciting as they do, but they do talk about it. It has 3 neighborhoods. I think it has 12 lots. Right, family dynamics. It wasn't discussed actually as much as I would like to. Because, that was my favorite feature, but I do have a new favorite feature. So you have that to look forward to. Family dynamics, what I did notice that there is a new family dynamic. As you know, I was sort of underwhelmed by the amount of options. And the new one that I noticed was supportive. And I also feel like that's the most important dynamic because supportive is the best dynamic to have. I mean, obviously there's like loving and blah, whatever, but let's face it, being supportive and having supportive people in your life is pretty awesome. They've also mentioned that these are discoverable, so you can get more dynamics through gameplay, and you can set them in cast at the beginning, and you can obviously cheat later if you want to change your dynamics. They've changed to something that you don't like, or you want to make a new storyline or something, then you can absolutely cheat that, because we all know cheats should be worshipped. Grandma, she changed her family dynamic in the middle because of the interactions that she was having with one of her grandchildren, and the family dynamic changed to strict. So that was pretty cool, actually. I thought that was very exciting. They've also discussed levels of attachment, which I think is a really cool feature because it is so real life. Maybe slightly too real life, actually, now that I think of it. So basically, when you talk about child psychology, we talk about attachment types, and they're introducing that into the game, which, if your sim responds to the needs of their infant, then they grow up to be trusting adults that believe that the world is a good place and people will come to their aid if they're needed. However, if your sim does not pay attention to their child, and this is the part that is slightly depressing, I know you can do that now already, okay? But they can form an attachment that is unsafe for them, or that they feel unsafe, or they feel that they can't trust people and that all people are going to let them down. So, but it is an interesting thing that it begins in childhood and then kind of grows, and then your sims sort of grow with it, and it really influences who they are, hopefully, right? There is also a lot of talk about new interactions and new interaction age combos, so that there's a lot of new interactions for elders, but the interactions, for example, between a child and a toddler are a lot more diverse now, or between an elder and a toddler, etc., etc. So that will be very interesting to see, like how different will those interactions be. And they also talked about compatibility. Compatibility is based off the system that we already have, which is likes and dislikes. There's like new categories for it and new settings that you can set of things that you like or dislike about just in general or about other people. So that's how compatibility has been resolved. You can access and kind of see the compatibility relatively easily if you just go into your tab that shows you other Sims relationships, and there's like this puzzle piece, either that's together or apart, and that shows you whether the active Sim is compatible or non-compatible with the Sim that you're looking at, and it gives you details if you click on it. I have tweeted about this. The suitcases are usable and they work as dressers, so they work basically as portable dressers. I mean, they're not like necessary, but they're cute and they're suitcases, and I think they're cool. They also mentioned temporary stay system so that people can temporarily stay with you, which is awesome. And they talked a lot about Kyle, but to be honest, I kind of tuned out at this point because I was trying to make Twitter posts, and also I really needed to pee, and I don't find Kyle that interesting. I don't know what it is. Maybe he's just not my type of person, but it's just whenever Kyle comes on screen, I'm like, I don't even know what he is, what he does, but he did come to stay with the family that they were playing. So they can have short stays. So they have visits, like you can have a weekend visit or a week-long visit or something like that. So that's pretty cool, I feel like. And now milestones were actually talked about quite a little bit. So basically the way it influences toddlers and infants is that they can do more the more milestones they have. There are milestones, because I was worried about this, that not all Sims will have. There was one specific one, which was that the Sim that they were playing did not make it to the bathroom, obviously, and had a bladder failure. And I know most Sims have bladder failures in their life at some point because we're all evil, but it's not a necessity. It's not like every single Sim is going to end up having the failed bladder milestone, right? What I was worried about is that every single Sim is going to have the same milestone. And the milestone system and the milestone recording recording, tracking, that's the word, the milestone tracking. It actually looks quite nice and neat and everything. So I'm happy. I'm looking forward to really dive into that when the expansion is out. They talked about a midlife crisis, and there's different midlife crises. Crises? I don't know. The one that they had an example of was the adventure one, and that one made me tired just looking at it. There was like climbing mountains, walks, or whatever. Ooh, and the thing that I found really exciting was the workplace rivalries, because he had a rivalry with Bella Goff. And in the live stream, they were talking about how, you can just get rid of your rivals with whatever means necessary. And I was like, oh my God, this is what happened to Bella, right? All along. This is Bella's real story revealed finally today. There was a lot of cast stuff, like a lot, and a lot of it was really cute, and the textures were really, really interesting. Like on this jumper, I felt like the texture was just so adorable, and that there's a corset there underneath the jumper cardigan is really, really cool. So very excited about the cast items, both in the free release and the growing together ones. And then there was a whole segment about tree houses. So tree houses are part of the gameplay that I'm looking forward to as well. It's interesting. So the decorations are swatches. So there's basically different swatches that are scenarios. So like Princess Castle scenario, or I don't want to lie and like tell you one that's not an actual thing, but like Pirates of the Sea. What other pirates do you have? Do you have other pirates than Pirates of the Sea? Chicken of the Sea. There's this joke with, I think it was Jessica Simpson, where she said tuna was like chicken of the sea. And I get it. Actually, I totally get it. I absolutely think tuna is the chicken of the sea. I love tuna and chicken. So I get you, Jessica Simpson. Everybody made fun of you that you're dumb. And maybe I'm dumb too, which is fine. I mean,
I know it's tuna, but it says chicken.
We're vibing. Apparently. Anyway, so tree houses, there are swatches and then they have scenarios. So the kids can play certain scenarios, and obviously the swatches then change the look of the tree house. And things like the slide or the sliding down pole, like the fireman sliding down pole, those can be added by handy sims. Also, the tree house is a new woohoo spot. I feel like that is an important point. Like, we really care about that. The more woohoo spots, the better. Probably most of us don't woohoo in such weird places in real life, but at least we get to vicariously woohoo in a bush for The Sims 4. So, woohoo to that. Yeah. Anyway, so what I was really excited about was friendship bracelets. It's like a small edition, but it's super cute, and I'm very excited about that. Not the most excited, okay? I'm still getting to that one. First of all, there's an item, like a friendship bracelet maker, and they did mention that you can also use the nifty knitting stuff to make friendship bracelets. And then you can exchange them. That gives you the ability to have special interactions like friendship bracelet fist bump or something. And what's really cute is that the Sims wear the friendship bracelets that you give them. And that is just so cute, because I don't know if you guys ever made friendship bracelets, but I was like really into that stuff when I was in high school. I loved making friendship bracelets, and my friends as well. And we would make friendship bracelets, not necessarily even like for our friends. We just make them, just give them out, because you would make so many. They did talk about diaper changing, for example, the diaper changing table. There are so many cute diapers that you can dress your infants into, by the way. So you can baby proof certain areas with, I think they only showed it with playpens. So like this fencing that you can baby proof. I don't know if there's other baby proofing, but the toddlers can try to break loose and kind of get out of the baby proofed areas, which I think is hilarious. So mischievous. They're so adorable. And then they talked about events. They look good. I mean, I think they were like pretty much what we were expecting. There's baby shower. There's family reunion, which could be really, really fun. And there's, I do not remember. Right. So, summer party. And then they talked about a bunch of random stuff. For example, these collage frames, which are like super exciting to me. Like, I really, really can't wait for that. I love the idea. Either I completely ignore photography, or I start taking pictures and then I'm just obsessed with it. And I do like that there's collages that they can kind of put them together. I think it's a really cool new item, okay? And then they talked about the community lots. So there's the cinema, or the theater as they call it. And that one is not necessarily that interesting or exciting, as we have expected. It is a rabbit hole. There are different genres, and it's funny because they have different movie names and stuff that are a reference to popular films. And you can go on dates there, and also different Sims, because of their likes and dislikes, can enjoy different films or different, genres and stuff. So that's cool, but not like That wasn't the mind-blowing part. Like, I could have missed that part. That would have been fine. Everything else was like, oh my God. And that was like, okay. And then we obviously have the Splashpads. So the little pool things that, water fountain things that yep. You can put them in your home lot, as we saw with the toddler that was trying to break loose from them. Why would you leave a splash pad park when you're a toddler? I feel like that's like heaven, no? Also, not like massive for me personally, but it's like nice. And then we moved into the other community lot, which was the rec center, where you had the gaming table. I talked about the board games and part of that when I was doing the reaction to the gameplay trailer. Well, not reaction, the unreaction to the gameplay trailer quite a bit. I think, judging from what they said on the live stream, that game that I was like, oh my God, is this a new board game, already existed. I just probably don't have the expansion or the pack that it comes in, or I just completely missed it. You can play different board games, but they didn't mention anything in particular, like anything new, except for the puzzles. Now, the puzzles are new, and you can make custom puzzles. So you can go in and like take a picture of something and make a puzzle out of that. And also, you can steal puzzle pieces, and that's kind of cool. Because, I don't play mischievous. Mischievous. I don't actually know how to say this. Sims very often, but if I were to do something like that, then stealing a puzzle piece would be kind of up my alley. Yeah, that is my level of evilness. Okay, guys, stealing a puzzle piece. That's my dark side. Walking trails, something that I personally find extremely boring, like me in real life, okay? I just generally hate walking without a purpose. And I realize walking, like a walking trail or walking for the sake of walking, is a purpose. But I mean like walking without getting from point, like to a point that is like a finish line or a goal or something. I don't get it. Although I have mentioned that I do not like gardening, and I do actually enjoy gardening in The Sims. So who knows, maybe I will go on many power walks with my Sims. I mean, they will go and walk and I won't have to. I just have to observe them. So there's special points when they go on these walks where they get little moodlets and, they're like, oh, this is interesting and this is interesting. And the way they walk is kind of funny. So I guess it is amusing. But I think this brings us to the thing that I'm really excited about. So generally speaking, a lot of things that they talked about seem to be things that you can sort of discover, and they change as the game goes on, depending on how you play with your Sims. Like if the Sims are married and they don't talk to each other very often, then, they are no longer close. They become distant. They did actually talk about this, that if you have relationships that are distant, then people act differently. Like even if a Sim moves out, so a daughter moves out from the house, and then the mother won't call her as often if they're distant, but she'll call her more often when they're not distant. Sometimes they call so much. Maybe it's better to be distant, actually. So a lot of things seem to be changing as the game progresses, which I find super exciting. The last thing that they talked about, I think it was pretty much the last thing, and the thing that I found extremely exciting is self-discovery. And I find this exciting for many reasons. Obviously, gameplay. I also find it exciting because I think it's so real life and like such a cool part of real life where you're living your life and you're doing your thing and you suddenly go, I'm actually this, or I'm actually that, or I'm in the time of my life where I am feeling ambitious or where I'm feeling lazy, or right now I'm a slob and, in a year I'll be neat or whatever. I'm assuming it doesn't change that often for people or for the Sims, but you know what I mean? I think that's a really fun part of life, like self-discovery. And they're bringing it into the Sims, and it allows you to have more traits, which is kind of cool. Okay, so you can have up to 6 traits altogether, 3 extra traits with self-discovery that you discover for gameplay, or for, I think sometimes maybe just things that happen to your Sim can kind of trigger a self-discovery moment. But I do think that's really, really cool. Okay, I love it. And the very big one, actually, is what the Sims community has already, judging by Twitter and Instagram, called surrogacy. But I feel there's more story potential than just surrogacy. But they've talked about science babies. Now, science babies allow you to have babies with anybody that you want. There doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship between those two Sims. They can just have babies. And science babies are instant, which I don't know how I feel about instant babies. Okay, I feel like, instant noodles. Sure. Instant babies, bit weird, but they just pop up instantly. However, yes, obviously story-wise, it can give you the opportunity to use a surrogate, or to have a surrogate in your storyline. But I feel there's more to it. I feel like there are more situations that this could work with. And the more stories we can create, the freaking better, guys. So very excited about science babies. Highchair Revamp. We shall see. Okay. We shall see. Will Highchairs return to The Sims 4 in glory, or will they fail once again and fall on their faces? And I am not very good at this, so but they are talking a lot about Highchair revamps, that it's not going to be as troublesome, it's not going to be so much work, it's going to be great and wonderful and everything. So really looking forward to that, actually, because I enjoy Highchair as an item. I actually don't use them in game. I've never found them as annoying as most people, but then again, I just don't really use them. Okay, guys, my camera batteries are dead, but I completely forgot to mention that there's a new pie menu for conversations and stuff, and it looks really, really interesting. We will see how intuitive it will be to use, but I'm really, really looking forward to that, because the pie menu right now is a bit of a nightmare. They've talked about infants traits, where we have cautious, sensitive. Actually, let me look at my notes. So you have cautious, sensitive, calm, intense, wriggly, or sunny. And they talked about those traits, and then we also talked about quirks. They talked about quirks, not me. I didn't talk about it. I'm talking about it now. Quirks. And quirks are little things that also sort of define who your toddlers, your infants are. And they're like, I don't know, sneeze a lot. Mr. Sneeze a lot. I would be Miss Peas a lot. That would be me. So you can discover up to, well, not with one toddler and one infant, but there are up to, they said, 18 for toddlers and then separate 18 for infants of those quirks. So that's like super exciting. Like, I'm really excited about that, because you kind of learn who your infants are. And I think that's really exciting, you guys, that you get to know them. Of course, you can cheat it. And the stuff that we're definitely getting in the free update. So even if you don't have Growing Together, or if you don't get it, you still get diapers, outfits. They also have onesies for the babies that you can change and stuff, and that's really, really cute. The items that we're going to get in the free update are bassinets, lamps, bookcases, these llama things, sensory toys. Apparently they make sounds. I don't know if there's any other sensory senses that they address. Playpens, really, really cool, that can also be used to baby-proof things, apparently, or at least baby-proof areas. That will be so cool, actually. I wasn't even thinking of that when I was watching the stream. That is very useful. I enjoy that. I enjoy that thought. Cribs and travel cribs. So the Sims can take the travel crib with them in their inventory, so that they can always have one ready for their little ones. Gameplay wise, they talked about that you can set whether your Sim prefers to be breastfeeding or bottle feeding. You can now set also if the Sim, it can potentially breastfeed in CAS, so create a sim at the very beginning. The babies are going to be less of a boring log, somewhat. I mean, hopefully, judging by what they're doing, there'll be a lot less, but I don't know. I don't know yet. We'll see. I can't wait, guys. I can't wait. So there's new outfits, there's new accessories, and obviously the birthmarks and the different skin marks that you can get, like freckles and also stretch marks. I'm very excited about stretch marks, because maybe eventually, finally, I can create a sim that is a representation of myself. Okay? If you've enjoyed this video, please tickle the like button, because it really helps with the algorithm. Leave a comment and tell me which feature are you most excited about. And subscribe. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police.